good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, everybody. Today we want to talk about a guy who ate dick. So I know that is not some kind of intro you are normally used to hear, but yeah, I decided I wanted to give my insight and my expertise when it comes to this case in particular, because I don't know, man. This case, like, I don't want to say it's my favorite because I really hate that word. So I'm just gonna use the term. It interests me the most. So a lot of you are probably asking, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Because who in the world would want to talk further about a guy who chopped off other guy's cock and then ate it, and then proceeded to eat his flesh for like 10 months or so? But yeah, first of all, I know this case is like really, really disturbing. It is disgusting. I'm not gonna deny that, not at one point. But you have to realize one thing. And that is basically the question that I'm gonna try to, refer and answer in this video. Is Armin Meiwes, is he evil? That is the question. So we know he is mentally not well, and I'm speaking in present because I haven't heard that he's dead yet, so he's currently in prison. Is he evil? That is the main question, and I'm gonna just go straight ahead and say, no, he's not. That's my opinion. So no, he's not evil, and I'm gonna explain why. So if you didn't watch the whole documentary, the whole thing I did, please go back one video below and watch the whole thing. So like in peace, watch the interviews. I try to my best to translate what he said. I know one person who is native German commented that I didn't get it 100% right, and that is completely true. I only have like B1 level so far, so I'm not able to translate it with 100% certainty, but I got like 95%, which is good enough. Watch the whole thing, get the whole story together in your head, and then come back here so we can talk. Okay, so what was the main plot? Armin Meiwes looked for somebody who would allow him to, like kill him and eat him, basically. And Bernd Brandes was just there, and he, like, I'm laughing, but it's really not a laughable subject. But I just cannot get out of my head why would somebody wanted his manly thing to be chopped off and eaten. But we're gonna get there. So he wanted to be eaten. First of all, to even begin to comprehend why in the world would two persons want that, of course we need to go back in the childhood. In the documentary, I briefly talked about what happened, and I'm gonna, go back and mention that again, and then I'm gonna add a little bit more details in order for you guys to understand how the hell did they like come across this wish in the first place. So let's start with our little chef here, so Armin Meiwes. He didn't have a kind of violent childhood, but he was like very, very controlled. And the first thing when somebody mentions his mother, the first person that pops in my head is the mother of serial killer Ed Gein. So it was like the same kind of level of controlling, dominating kind of behavior, because his mother basically treated him like some kind of prisoner. I don't know, like he was made out of glass, so she wouldn't allow him to go outside and have friends, socialize in normal measure. And she even took the whole thing like that far that she even like managed to get with him on his dates. So imagine this situation. So he was just sitting there with his potential girlfriend, I don't know, and his mother was like in the booth beside him, and she was like following every single step that he makes, and basically his mother wouldn't allow him to breathe without her. That was kind of level that his mother had towards him. So normally the poor guy that wasn't able to make any kind of friends, he just retracted in himself. And he began to imagine that he has like imaginary friends. He would often socialize with his imaginary friends. He would talk to them about various subjects, and he began to, develop this kind of idea that if he wanted to make like a real friend for life, he would just have to eat somebody. And he started reading the books and the literature about cannibalism and other things. And one of the main things when cannibalism is in play is that the believing that when you eat somebody, he will just become a part of you. So logically, without any friends whatsoever, he just figured, hey man, bro, if I eat somebody, he will be with me forever and I'm not gonna be alone. And it is kind of, I don't know, man, it is really sad, because he's not born this way, obviously. So only person that we can blame about his distorted way of thinking is his mother, because she led him down this path. And I don't know, man, it's just plain sad, because he also lost his father, who just one day decided he's gonna abandon them. They're not like good enough for him. And yeah, he was just with his mother, who, I don't know, maybe she saw some kind of other figure in her son, because one man had already left her, and maybe she was just thinking, if my son gets married or something, if he has a girlfriend, he would leave me too. So that's kind of very selfish thinking. And yeah, because of her, basically, he became the way he did. But what is really interesting, he didn't, although he had that desires, right? He had desires and the urges to kill somebody and eat that person. He waited until his mother was like gone, dead. So he compressed all that feelings in himself and he waited. So once his mother was gone, then, only then, he decided it is time for action. Let's go. Let's try to make some friends, I guess. So he started posting all the things on cannibalistic forums or whatever he posted them. I don't know if it was like actually dark web or something, but it was definitely not normal forums. Like on the other side, you have like people who are interested in, I don't know, gardening flowers, and on the other side, you have like, hey man, I want to eat somebody. So cooking recipes for cakes and steaks, and other side, cooking recipes for like heads and cocks. So but not chickens, like actual you know what I mean. And he had plenty of offers actually before Bernd came into play, but it turns out that people are just most of the time like messing around, or they got like cold feet at the last second. So he tried to arrange some kind of meeting in some kind of hotels, but when it came to that moment, the other guys were just, this guy is complete psychopath, he's actually serious, I'm not gonna go through this. And yeah, he was kind of very disappointed, and at that moment he thought that he's never gonna get his chance again. But then came Bernd Brandes. So let's talk a little bit about this guy, because his story is also very sad. And when you look this whole case once again completely, I'm gonna repeat one more time, it is like thoroughly disgusting and sickening, but in my opinion it is in some kind of way, it has an explanation to the question why. Most of the time you just don't have explanation. You have like straight evil people like that scumbag Ramirez, who just, I'm gonna smash the people's head with a bat, and I'm gonna kill women, men, children, I don't choose. So you have like Ted Bundy, who has intercourses with dead bodies, bro. You have Ed Kemper who, you know, effed his mother with her chopped off head. So those people are really, really, I mean, I wouldn't say Kemper is evil, but Bundy and Ramirez, those guys are evil. So those guys did the way they did things because they wanted to. They enjoyed it. They found it like, you know, they felt adrenaline doing it. And that is evil. But when we talk about Armin, like I said, he was not. So let's get back to the Bernd Brandes. What was his issue? What was the problem with this guy? I briefly mentioned in the documentary that his mother committed suicide when he was only 5. So he was just a kid, and for some reason, when that happened, he blamed himself. And he just couldn't get rid of this blame for his whole life. So from that moment on, he just began imagining, how can I find different ways to punish myself? Because obviously I'm guilty that my mother committed suicide for, again, reasons that I'm not familiar with, or I don't think anybody is familiar with. So basically he was not guilty, but he felt tremendous guilt that he was responsible because his mother decided to do so. And as he, you know, got older, he tried to find ways, how can I, you know, punish myself and in some kind of way erase my existence. So I want nobody to know I ever existed. And in that process, he he confessed to his father that he's actually homosexual. And when his father heard that, he was just, I'm sorry, bro, I'm just gonna have to kick you out of the house, and you're basically not my son anymore. So go F yourself, do what you want, but you don't exist anymore in my life. So yeah, he was trying to find ways, how can he disappear basically without anyone suspecting something or something like that, yeah. And yeah, apart from you know, erasing his existence, he also wanted to take away his manhood, because again, the guy felt so much guilt because of something he actually wasn't responsible for, that he, you know, wanted to strip. You see, that happens when you don't have like editing in play and script, so apologies. He wanted to be stripped down of his manhood, and basically the best way he came up with that was the way that somebody is gonna have to chop his manly things. So he often visited prostitutes in one part of Germany. I'm not sure entirely which part, but he had like these sick demands that he wanted when some kind of, I don't know, prostitute performs her duties on her job down on him. He wanted her to finish by biting his Johnson off. And naturally, I mean, you know, you have a lot of people in this world, and a lot of people that are willing to do all kinds of stuff for different amounts of money. But you know, in 100% of cases, the women were like, what the hell is wrong with you, man? I'm definitely not gonna do that. So after many failed attempts, he just thought at that moment, I'm gonna give up, man. I'm gonna give up because nobody wants to do me this favor. And he started visiting like forums at like a last resort, right? And luckily, or not luckily for us, he stumbled across an ad of Armin Meiwes. So, and there is a little bit of confusion here, because sometimes I hear Meiwes posted an ad and Brandes replied it, and sometimes Brandes posted an ad and Meiwes replied it. So I don't know which is 100% like correct, but it's not really important. The important thing is that those guys connected with each other, and because of that, the whole saga of events was going to happen. So basically, in essence, on one side you have a guy who was, I can freely say, abused by his mother because she was so controlling and he couldn't have his own life. And on the other side you have like a guy who blamed himself and carried this tremendous burden on his back because his mother took her own life. And when you combine these two guys, you only like have really sad story in reality. It really is. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that when you know, yes, I think it is third time that I say this. On first look, it is pretty disgusting case and it's sickening. And I'm not justifying what they did at all. But you have to separate the sad things, the sad cases, if you like know the background. So you need to look further in the background and, you know, understand why they did it. And the cases that are just, you know, like I said, Ramirez Bandi or other pricks like Gacy or I don't know, they were just plain evil and born like that. I mean, yeah, in reality, you could like solve this problem or try to solve this problem of depression or sadness in some kind of different manner, but yeah, I don't know. They just blended in perfectly because he wanted to make friends by eating somebody. The other guy, Brandes, he wanted to disappear without any traces whatsoever and get his thing chopped off in the process. So I guess it was 100% perfect fit. So if these guys like use Tinder or something, I doubt that they would be like this good matched. Now that we understand or like simply have some kind of ground understanding why these guys did what they did, once again the question is, how can we compare Armin Meiwes to somebody who murdered 30 people, 60 people, 100 people, had an inappropriate intercourse with dead bodies, so corpses, man, had sexual intercourses with corpses. And we have to understand that Bernd Brandes, he wanted this to be done, so he gave a consent. And Armin Meiwes, he was that kind of guy that, you know, he was like, he wanted to take care of Bernd in like best possible way. So if Bernd said it at any point in their like trip, I don't want to do this anymore, bro, so I'm backing off, I'm 100% sure that Armin would just say, okay, fine, let's take you back. And actually, Bernd said it the first time. He was not sure if he's gonna, you know, go to sleep or whatever he wanted to do before Armin starts. And yeah, they were back on the station. The guy bought him a ticket back. He just said, okay, you're not the right guy for it. I'm not gonna push you. I'm not gonna force you anything. The only, you know, the only way of me doing this, going through this, is if I have your consent. So you have to give me the green light, and then, only then, I'm gonna go through it. And he wanted to do it in a, you know, like painless way possible, but the problem is that Bernd, he wanted to suffer. He wanted to suffer, he wanted to punish himself, because, once again, because of his guilt, because of his mother. And yeah, I mean, it was like pretty comical situation at that point, kind of, because he wanted to do it painless, this guy wanted to suffer, and there was some kind of misunderstanding there, but ultimately they found, let's say, the same language. And if you look the interviews that Armin did, I mean, you can just judge by his behavior that he is not evil. So he was not born that way. He didn't felt, like happiness in murdering somebody. He didn't feel adrenaline doing it. You could just see that in his eyes. Normally, I'm very good at like reading people, and when I look, I don't need a video. I need only one image of Bundy to look in his sick eyes and know that this guy is lying piece of shit, and he's just born that way, and he's projected to do all the things he did. But when you look at Armin and his interviews, I mean, yeah, he went into full detail describing what he did with Bernd after he was gone, and how he cut the body and ate all the flesh and the other things like that. But he was definitely not enjoying in the process of taking a person's life. So that is what separates him from the evil scumbags that I mentioned earlier. And this is why I think that Armin Meiwes cannot be compared in any kind of way with, the mentioned gang. And the same thing is with, if you watch my documentary about Anatoly Moskvin, the guy who made dolls from human corpses. So he dug up little girls that died and made dolls of them. That was actually, yeah, it's also disgusting, but it's actually a sad story because he was sick. This guy was and is still sick. And the same thing can be said about Meiwes. And the thing is that Armin Meiwes understands that. He knows that he needs help, and while he was and still is in a correctional facility, so a prison, he often talked and openly about his problem, and ultimately he regrets what he did. At that particular point, he just wanted to do that because he couldn't find any other way out. Out of his depression and without friends, because of his mother, of course. But after I saw a couple of interviews, and I'm gonna play one a little bit later, yeah, you could see that this guy really tried to, find some kind of peace after what he did. And he's not denying what he did. He knows that he's guilty. But when we talk about punishment, I certainly don't think that Armin Meiwes deserves to be locked up for life. So in my opinion, that is like crazy punishment. Because at the time in Germany, they didn't have in place any kind of laws for cannibalism, because nobody actually did that previously. So when his case was opened in 2001, I think it was 2001, they just, I don't know, they were like, we don't know what to do, bro, because this is the first instance that something like this happened. We don't have laws in place. So they went to trial one more time, 8 years he received. They went to trial the second time, and he got life imprisonment. And it's like baffling, because I know the people, whack 5, 6, 7 people and get 50, 60 years. And I don't know. And the worst thing is that Bernd Brandes, he was a voluntarily victim. So Armin Meiwes didn't just went into his house, smashed his head with a bat, cut the guy up, put him in his freezer, ate his body, ate 30 kilos of his meat, and I don't know what. So in my opinion, his punishment is crazy. So as the Germans would say, das ist verrückt. So it's totally crazy. And of course, even though he's in prison for life, he is still, I think, allowed to go outside once a week or once a month. I don't really know exactly, with some kind of cap and glasses, or in disguise. So I don't know, maybe this will sound weird or something, but I would gladly like to sit with him and chat with him. So I don't know if you find this to be crazy, but I don't find it to be crazy though, because I don't believe Armin Meiwes is like a threat for society. I don't believe the guy is dangerous. So yeah, he chopped up the guy and put him in a freezer, but I just think that he's not dangerous, because he wouldn't do it if he didn't have the consent. Once again, I think this is like the 5th disclaimer. Yes, it was pretty disgusting case, it is disturbing case, but it is nothing compared to the things that serial killers did and mass shooters did, or like cases similar like that, or like dark history cases, what Stalin did, what Hitler did, what Mussolini did. So it is basically nothing, and you have to understand that kind of difference. So if you put me in a room with him, I would gladly chat and have a coffee with him. And if you put me in a room with Ramirez, I don't know, bro. I'm just saying that I would utilize my 5-year boxing career very, very quickly on that guy's head. So that's all I'm gonna say. So you understand the difference here. And when you talk about criminal psychology and the things like that, you just can't assume that a crime has been committed and you just assume that like that guy deserves life, without checking the background, without checking the actual story that led to all of this. I mean, yeah, that's why psychology behind the crime is often so much more interesting than the crime itself, because we try to understand how the brain functions, what led to all of this in the first place. And in this case, I mean, I hope I gave you a little bit more understanding of why this guy decided to do what they did. So I found another clip that Armin did while he was and still is in the prison, and I'm gonna play it for you. I tried again to translate it the best way I can, and you can judge for yourself. Does Armin Meiwes has the regrets? Is he sorry for what he did, and what he thinks the people that have the same desires as him should do if they manage to find themselves in the same situation that he was in. So take a good look at this interview, and with all the things I told you already, so with all the background, try to conclude, is he actually an evil person, or was he just a miserable, sad person trying to find some answers? So take a look good at this interview, and I'll see you back later.
Herr Meiwes, was denken Sie, wenn Sie so rausschauen in die Freiheit?
Das ist eine andere Welt. Hier hinter Gittern oder in einem Gefängnis läuft die Zeit anders. Hier drin bleibt eigentlich praktisch die Zeit stehen, während sie draußen weitergeht. Es ist eine ganz andere Welt mit anderen Gesetzen, als sie draußen existieren.
Wie denken Sie heute über das, was Sie gemacht haben?
Nun, heute weiß ich, dass das, was ich gemacht habe, falsch war. Dass niemals dieser richtige Weg sein kann, dass die Wünsche, die Fantasien, die man hat, dass diese niemals in Erfüllung gehen können. Und all das, was man sich erträumt, immer nur ein Traum bleiben wird. Und auch das, was ich getan habe, nachdem ich das getan habe, hatte ich immer noch die Vorstellung, dass dieser Traum vielleicht doch Wirklichkeit werden könnte. Heute weiß ich, dass das niemals so sein kann. Und die Leute, die diese Probleme haben, wie Bernd und ich sie ja auch hatten, diese Leute müssen sich jemanden suchen, mit dem sie ganz offen und frei und unbefangen darüber sprechen können. Ein Arzt, Psychologe, Psychiater, Priester, Pfarrer. Denn das Gespräch, was ich hier in dieser Anstalt hatte, mit dem Anstaltspsychologen und Psychiater, ein sehr weiser und älterer Herr, das hat mir ein Gefühl der Befreiung gegeben. Denn es war das erste Gespräch überhaupt mit einem Menschen, mit dem ich unbefangen und unvoreingenommen über diese Dinge sprechen konnte. Und die Last, die praktisch sich in 30 Jahren auf meinen Schultern angesammelt hatte, die war mit einem Mal weg. Und so merkwürdig es vielleicht auch klingen kann und mag, nach diesem Gespräch bin ich in eine sogenannte Zugangszelle gekommen, ein Raum, der sehr klein, dreckig, schmutzig ist. Und ich habe da hinter den Gittern gesessen und habe Rotz und Wasser geheult und habe mich so frei gefühlt wie mein ganzes Leben zuvor nie. Und dieser Moment, der war so gewaltig, dass ich jedem nur raten kann, wenn er solche Dinge vielleicht plant oder Fantasien, egal welcher Art es sind, suchen Sie sich jemanden, der unbefangen darüber spricht. Denn Sprechen hilft sehr viel und kann eine Befreiung geben, wie man sie nie zuvor gespürt hat. Und wenn man über Dinge spricht, braucht man diese auch nicht machen. Wenn dieses Gespräch früher stattgefunden hätte, bei mir sowohl als auch bei Bernd, es wäre nie zu dieser Tat gekommen. Es gibt viele tausend Menschen im Internet, die sich für dieses Thema faszinieren, die dort Menschen suchen, entweder um aufgegessen zu werden oder um entsprechend Menschen zu essen. Weltweit hat die Polizei ermittelt, die Zahl, allein in Deutschland glaube ich 10.000, weltweit im Millionenbereich. Und wenn auch nur einer davon den Mut hat, das nicht zu tun, dann ist es schon mal ein großer Erfolg. Und wenn jeder, der diese Ambitionen hat, eine Möglichkeit offen hat, sich an jemanden zu wenden und Rat und Hilfe entsprechend zu bekommen, dann braucht er das auch nicht mehr zu tun. Und es gibt etliche Menschen. Und diese Menschen leben eben in dieser Fantasiewelt. Und diese Fantasiewelt muss eben durchbrochen werden durch die Realität.
Können Sie von sich aus ausschließen, dass Sie das nochmals tun?
Ja, denn mein Ziel ist, andere, die solche Gedanken haben, davon abzuhalten. Und eine Bekannte hatte mir hier im Gefängnis gesagt, beim Ausleben der Fantasie wird man niemals die Erfüllung erleben. Und diesen Satz habe ich mir sehr zu Herzen genommen, denn was auch immer man sich vorstellt, es ist in der Realität grundsätzlich immer anders. Und von daher, warum soll ich etwas machen, von dem ich weiß, dass es nie so ist, wie ich es mir vorstelle?
Sind Sie glücklich jetzt, weil Sie Herrn Brandes in sich haben?
Nach meiner Vorstellung ist er nun auch ein Teil von mir. Zumindest der Gedanke an ihn, der ist da. Und das ist ein guter Gedanke für mich.
I don't know. Once again, in my opinion, I fully believe what he says. So I'm 100% certain that Armin Meiwes means what he says. And it's that simple. I mean, his body language, the way he speaks, the way he thinks now, I just cannot imagine why he would made all these things up, really, because not at any point from the point he was caught and locked in, he didn't lie. So he just went and told 100% truth and raw like situation, what happened from the start until the end. So he wasn't trying to glorify himself. He wasn't trying to, you know, oh, I was mama's boy, I was so miserable, and said, no, he just said, it happened like this, I did that, I did that, I did that, and then I did that. And I guess he left, you know, of course he told what his childhood was like, but he didn't, you know, like tell like Gacy or somebody, I have a multiple disorder, personality, blah blah blah. I didn't mean to do it. I don't know what. So he didn't lie. He was 100% honest, and that is why I appreciate when we talk about his actions. Yeah. Once again, I know it's pretty unsettling case, but I hope that we can now understand and separate the difference between the cases like this, which are pretty much sad in reality, and horrific case committed by other people basically without any reason whatsoever. So they just did it because of their pleasure and the adrenaline rush, I guess. So evil. They are evil, which Armin Meiwes is not. That's my final opinion on this. Tell me what you think in the comments, and I hope you, I don't know, enjoyed this kind of conversation, although I know I made a lot of grammar mistakes, but we already concluded that that's a normal thing here, so get used to it. I will try to make a documentary by the end of this week, and I guess until the next time, stay safe everybody. And so when you see a white van parked outside and the person is selling ice cream or invites you in to read a book, just say no. Until the next time.